Yes.
All right, welcome back, YouTube. We're live to another weekly demo session of Acta, where we share exactly what we're working on every single week as we're building multiple companies together with amazing people. We have the guy, Justus, next to me, recovered and healthy again. How was the week for you, just feeling wise?
Good. This is our last full week in Cape Town. Therefore, the last demo live stream. But yeah, week was good. I think we made progress on all the ventures. Even, I think we're live in the App Store by this time.
Bro, you're spoiling the whole excitement that we're gonna announce later, man. Like, what the hell? Okay. Well, nice. Okay, that's okay. Anyways, yeah, welcome back. As you said last time in Cape Town, we're going back to Germany for Christmas holiday, well deserved. I think the week in general was, good overall, but also to me, I had 1 or 2 days where I was feeling a bit lower energy, didn't push as hard, but it's also part of the process. So this week we still want to come on and share exactly what we did, because we're really building in public, which means sharing all the wins, all the misses, all the numbers, everything we're doing, and so forth. So I'm stoked for this week. Any last words before we jump into the first one?
For all our live stream viewers, today we tried to make it a little bit shorter, but also build in public means you can ask us any questions you want. We will answer them. So if you have any questions for content, our startup in general, or the ventures we're building, today's the time. Feel free to ask anything, and we'll answer them. And let's head right in.
Perfect. So we're going to start with the first venture we're building, and Eli, you can join us for this one. To quickly iterate, it's a venture that started out as Reflector, which was the name we put into the world, and then the inspiration for this first venture was that I worked with a leadership coach in my past when I was building my first company, which helped me tremendously really find an internal shift even to building, where I was really stressed before, and through the work with my leadership coach, Matthias Müller-Lindenberg, I discovered a much more present, powerful, and also calm way of building and leading a team. And this was quite transformational for me. And with the rise of AI and large language models, I also realized that there's a lot of stuff you can do there. And we started a few months ago, probably like 6 or 7 by now, building the first few versions. We started out as a journaling app, and we have been through a few pivots and changes. And now Reflector evolved into something more powerful, which is called Nova, together with the help of Elias right here, leading the product, and Arda, who is building and turning the product ideas into good working software. And yeah, this is just a rough overview of what Nova is, the new name we now are working on. Today we will also talk a bit about the impossible goal and how we kind of found the week. But first off, how was the week for you? What were the things you were working on, Elias?
I mean, the week kind of went great. I wouldn't say just as good as last week went, but also, last week was quite a bit of a sprint. I think it's been like a couple of 12-hour days back to back. But also, we have a really nice accomplishment to announce if, somebody else hasn't given that away already. So yeah, overall, great. We managed to ship quite a couple of improvements by end of day. So yeah, that's
awesome. And I think one thing that was special this week is that you and we got together and think a bit more about the vision, where we were really building towards, because it's easy to get lost in this week by week, just improving things and losing track a bit of the bigger goal that we're working towards. And for this, we, I think, had quite an extensive meeting going into where we are, where we want to go. And I think we discovered a new approach to also go there. It's an approach I, for the first time, read from Benjamin Hardy, who is an executive coach in America and the US. He has a program called scale.com, I think. And he has also written a great book on, 10x is easier than, 10% or like these sort of ideas. And from him, there was this idea of an impossible goal. So maybe we just jump right in how we started this, which I would call the impossible goal Nova end of year 2026. We got together and we were asking, hey, what is a crazy goal for the end of next year? So we have 12 months now, really, solid timeline. What would be something that makes us even feel uncomfortable a bit? And I think we discussed it first a bit and landed then on 100,000 paying customers. How was it for you when I confronted you basically with, hey, Elias, what is really an impossible goal as you think about going from zero? We're right now at like a few hundred users, right? So how was your reaction to that and when we had the meeting?
I think for me personally, a lot of times when you're in the role where you're kind of like executing, a lot of times it's very easy to like fall into this pattern of like chasing a very attainable goal, which in my case was 500 paying customers. As you can see there, that's quite a bit of a gap. So I think a lot of times it's super helpful to then kind of sit down and zoom out a bit, simply because the steps you start thinking about are very, very different. And like really you can kind of see that, all of a sudden you have to think of like 10x ways. And then once you go through the numbers, you kind of realize, okay, there's quite a couple of things that we would need to do in order to get there.
Yeah, and the idea of an impossible goal is not necessarily that we feel bad if we don't reach it, but rather it forces us to think in new pathways. What ways can us even get there? And all of a sudden, we actually identified in this process of talking through it, I think a lever that wasn't so obvious for us in the beginning, a pathway. And maybe taking you through what we did, very basically just signed up. Hey, there's 100K. Can you show the screen, Chris? Thank you.
I'm sorry.
So we started, okay, the goal is 100K paying customers. We have roughly the mode of, sign up, then someone converts to paid. That might refer someone, but also retention matters a lot, especially when we're talking about paying customers. If, every month 50% of them leave because they don't like the product, it's really hard for us to get close and play catch up. We then considered option A, which is just assuming, some quite decent numbers in the funnel. So let's say more than 6% conversion from sign up to paid, which for a consumer product is pretty good. We also modeled in basically, less than 7% monthly churns and R factor, so referral factor of 2. So one paying customer brings us 2 new signups into the product. But with this, when we did the math, we realized we need more than 3.5 million signups in the product in the next 12 months, which is really hard to do, especially if we don't want to just waste money on paid ads with a product that is not really sticky. So we then considered, what is a way that could exist for us to still reach this crazy goal, this impossible goal? And we modeled basically how this path could look like a bit differently, where we said we start with a cohort of 100 paying customers, that's what we're working towards, and then we have a quite aggressive R factor of paid customers, where one paid customer brings us 2 new paid customers, so an R factor of 3, which seems extremely high and crazy. I think many companies would kill for that. At the same time, what we started thinking and talking about is, well, how can we design a product so this could become a possibility? And even if we don't end up with an R factor of 3 and something lower, it would still truly change the dynamics of growth for this product. So we really thought of growth and virality in that sense as a product and engineering problem, rather than just, we need to buy more Facebook ads. And I think this was a cool process to kind of land what really matters. We also talked a bit more about what are the target customers, like people like Daniel Dell and Benedikt Böhringer. We had a bit of discussion also. Should we go after the hardest customers first or the easiest ones? Or gut feel, I think, is going after the easiest ones at the moment. And the reason why we're still building this product is we want to help you achieve your goals faster. Before continuing, what were your additional contemplations on that? Is there something that, I didn't mention that, felt relevant in this process, or that was a breakthrough for you in the meeting?
I think based on these numbers, it's kind of, nice to see what that really means. Like if we zoom up here again for a second, like 3.5 million signups. What would that even mean in let's say views or something? If you think that you're gonna, I don't know, maybe convert 1% of views into signups, that's gonna be reasonably difficult. So yeah, and I think like taking the step of option B was just super, super important. And all of a sudden this opens up like a whole another way of thinking about how we engineer this product.
And the quote that always comes back to my mind is that marketing is the tax you pay for not building a remarkable product. Sounds very cheesy, easy in theory, really hard in practice. However, this is sort of the thing we're going after. If we build something that's so good that people talk about it themselves, we will achieve, say, 7 to 10% week-over-week revenue growth, and this is what we're going after. So we then just went a bit further, outlined the basic, dynamics of the product, the different parts that we need to get really right. And the new thing that kind of emerged was the social usage loop. So how can we get people to actively refer their friends? And especially in the space of setting goals and going after goals, friends have quite an important role in that. And this is sort of where our initial idea is. We could go on this, I think, for half an hour. For the sake of this, I will just keep it a bit shorter. We then broke it down, hey, what matters this week? And the main focus was getting the daily interaction better. However, we're not here to go deeper into this, although we might at some other point, but I think it was just worth pointing out that this mental framework of setting an impossible goal and then reverse engineering the things you need to get right in order to have a realistic shot at it with some likelihood was really cool. But again, all of this is theory. What matters is the practice. But now, in terms of practice, should we?
I would say we take a step back into reality and look at something which needed to happen to make this all possible. So we got a special guest tonight. Arda, are you muted?
Yeah, hi.
It's all right, Arda. I think you got something to show us, right?
Yeah, I have something to show you, yeah. Boom!
Boom. Oh yeah, I see the nice
Nova here.
Hmm.
I have to make my days more scheduled. Oh,
Is that
what is this?
is that an App Store link? Did I see that?
Yeah, we
Ooh.
have it.
What happens when you click on it?
Am I sharing my screen?
You.
Just your web browser, bro. Like, we saw the website, but we didn't see your full screen. So you just shared the window, I think. But yeah, we try again. Take number 2. These things are live.
Yeah, we are live, you can just see it.
Oh, yeah.
Download it, use it, and give us feedback. We are craving for that. Please do it.
Oh yeah. Well, what's a domain? Where do I find it?
You can just type Nova AI Coach on App Store and you can just download it.
Hell
Yeah. Nova.reflecta.so is our domain. I know it's too long, but we're gonna make it shorter in the future. Okay. But download our app, please.
All right. Then.
Cool. And I think just to point out, guys, like, we've worked on this now for 3.5 weeks, I would say, roughly speaking, maybe a bit more even. And the process was so cool. We built the first version maybe in a week, but then said, okay, we shouldn't release it to everyone yet. We need to nail it first. Got many people on WhatsApp from a waitlist, texting with them every day, asking, okay, how want to use it? How do you like it? And so forth. Looking at retention data, are they refining all the small things that weren't working yet the way we wanted them to? Me and the team also giving you a lot of feedback on, how are the AI coaching interactions, and all of this is coming together in our second ever App Store release, which is super exciting. And if you're watching right now and want to see a bit what this thing can do for you to help you achieve your lives faster, life's goals, try it out now. Give us your feedback. It's not perfect yet, but I think we came a lot closer to what this could be and what this really helps people from Reflector. So this is the journey of evolution. You can basically see our sort of okay-ish Reflector app, where we now actually have more paying customers, which is nice. I think 7 or 8 by now. So it's slowly growing. But this one, that's a new thing. I think much better. So good job to you guys getting it across the finish line. And of course, the work is still there. This is just the starting point for now to, again, go through the loop, talking to people, improving, shipping the updates and so forth. And you too can go crazy on that. So thank you guys for sharing. Great week, great update. See you, soon. Bye, Arda. Cool. So next up, we want to talk about a second project that we're building inside of Acta, which is called Rio. The inspiration for Rio is that I always thought very hard about how I would organize my team when I was building companies. Because ultimately, it's not just a technology or product game, it's a people game. And you need to make sure that everyone in the company feels empowered, has a real metric they own, real ownership and accountability for what they do. And the method behind that I was also introduced by my leadership coach, Matthias Müller-Lindenberg, was role-based organization, where you really think about not what are the job titles or the people we have, but rather you ask the question, what do we need to do well in order for us to be really successful? And through this process, you define different roles with a title, a purpose why a role exists, accountabilities connected to a metric so you can measure how good a role is actually doing. And what we did in the past was do this in Figma or in Miro and like some whiteboarding software, created it, but then no one really looked at it in the daily, in the weekly. In addition to that, what we did, and also my last company, was track different metrics. Part of it in Google Sheets, part of it we used a software called Geckoboard to have a nice dashboard. And now this inspiration led us to build Rio, which is our software answer to this way of building your team. So if you're a founder, even a small team with just 3 or 4 people, up to 50 maybe, and you're looking for a way, how do I actually build my team in a way that it self-improves, it really is empowered, this is the thing you can use to do that. And yeah, we worked hard in the last also 4 weeks or so. And we onboarded the first user this week, which is exciting. Shout out to Nick. Thank you for trusting us early on. And we're excited to implement your feedback very quickly. And yeah, this is the idea behind Rio. Akshat, how was your week? What did you work on? How did it feel? What are the outcomes that we can now show to the world?
Yeah, hi chat. It was really good. The week was, I think, really productive. Compared to last week where I was feeling a little bit stuck, and in the last demo session our data pipeline was not so robust. Even I think during the live stream it stuck a bit.
What does that mean?
Like we were kind of just using AI to generate charts, feeding it raw data and just displaying a chart. So every time user displayed a chart, we were just like passing it to AI, which is I don't think is like very scalable, but it was good to like get the feature out early and test it out and feel it. Yeah. So this week I spent a lot of time fixing and building this AI enabled pipeline, you can say. So which actually generates the code for converting all of this data and saves it. So we are also saving on AI cost, but also like it's much faster, and I think like a different way of building, which I think we will see in a lot more apps, which there is like this micro AI enabled productivity or AI enabled features, which are like, yeah, quite powerful, I think, if we use them in a right way.
Maybe adding on top of that, so we're building a few, let's say, tricks into our software. I'll quickly show you what the software looks like. We get more into the details in a bit. But if you, for example, add a metric and want to change this metric from a weekly aggregation to a daily aggregation, instead of now giving you a lot of settings, you can basically talk to the chart and say, this is what it should look like, and we are building the connecting piece from taking the data to visualizing it, how the user wants it. I think generally looking, maybe zooming out a bit about how products are developed, these things are really smart for existing software that people are used to using. And I would also say it's moving more and more towards truly conversational things. The future of software and also apps is just asking for what you want and you get it. However, I think we don't get there by now building it in exactly that way from the start, because people don't fully trust, I think, these fully AI experiences yet. However, we take a lot of time implementing it in the right places. So yeah, just some additional thoughts on that. What was your biggest takeaway from restructuring the data processing part of Nova? Not Nova, Rio. Fuck.
Like, what is the question? Like, is it terms of in my engineering terms or in terms of this product? I think engineering terms, I'm learning a lot about AI and how to use it actually to code and develop the kind of software I'm used to developing, which was before AI, which was much slower. And but I would say it was much easier to understand and keep in mind. So like, I think I'm understanding much better now how we can use AI to actually build the software, which are actually like easily understandable and programmable even by engineers, or like which you can easily scale while offloading like some of the things which I don't wanna do to AI, and and automating it so I don't have to write them again. So for example, for this thing we wrote the pipeline where AI generates the code looking at the raw data, how to structure it into the data we need. So AI writes that code. I don't want to write that, right? I want to maybe take architectural decisions, maybe make some charts or think about how the data flows. But I don't want to just look at data all day and go like, oh, okay, this is the object, this is an array, and now I have to just convert it into different form of data. That's boring to me, So yeah, that was like a really good game changer for me, that like I can use AI now to offload actually my boring task and yeah, just focus on important stuff.
Cool. And actually, let's have a look at what the product looks like right now. I used it this week to structure our Nova team. So the work between Eli, Arda, and myself. And I can show you exactly what this looks like for us at the moment. We start off, we have a role for the weekly sign-up driver, which the purpose is to get at least 100 sign-ups every single week to the app, so we can continuously learn, right? We're not about scaling yet. We're still about finding product market fit, but this is sort of a volume we need. This is Joe's role now. We haven't talked about it yet, but as of next week, it's his role. And you can see we connected it directly to a metric. So this is directly coming from Posttalk, the analytics provider we use. So we can see how many onboarding events, so signups, are happening in the product every week. In addition, we also have the possibility to add effort points, which is an estimate of how much time this role requires, because not every role requires 40 hours, might be simpler. In addition to that, at Nova, we also have the vision reality gap closer, which is sort of me trying to ensure we focus every week on the thing that really closes our vision reality gap the most. In this case, growing, making something people really, really love. And this is how I'm funneling my input now to Eli, who's the product lead, to define the direction of the product and pushing the value it provides to customers relentlessly. In addition to that, we also said, hey, we have a user's voice role where Eli should talk to at least 5 customers every single week and share the learnings of that in a structured way. But he also is the Nova coaching model lead. So he works a lot on making sure the coaching interaction we have in Nova is on par with a world-class coach. And then we have Arda being the lead engineer. And there, for example, we are tracking the metric of the effort points. So in Linear, how many issues or effort is he closing every single week? And he also has the role of a bug buster, making sure that we fix bugs within 24 hours. And in addition to that, like communicating updates and also, a quality role. So all of this might sound a bit obvious, and you might be like, yeah, this is what the team should do, obviously, right? Like, no kidding, Luis, really, this is what you should be doing. However, from my experience, quite often these things are implicit assumptions you have that someone knows, implicit expectations even. And very quickly you can then get into the game of micromanaging, like really making sure, following up, like do you really understand what is going on? And just the process of making something implicit explicit, having something we can look at every single week and see how we're doing, I think is a big asset for me, as I think also about building companies more from a perspective of building an engine rather than just randomly starting from scratch again and again. And this is what we're using now every single week. And we're going to expand this with more KPIs that you can import from a bunch of sources. That's primarily your task. And we're now onboarding the first users to try this out. From the first feedback, I think a lot of founders, chief of staff type of people really resonate with that idea because the goal setting processes are still very messy. And I'm stoked now that we can kind of show them a new method to think about culture and culture building that is more aligned, I think, with the contemporary need of people who are also working in these organizations, empowering performance, basically. And this is still just scratching the surface. There's much more coming. But yeah, this is how we're using Nova or Rio to build Nova at the moment inside of Acta. Something you want to add?
Yeah, sure. Like you mentioned, like that was really great. And I think to the point, like you mentioned, like all of the things are explicit, but the process of defining them, I think, is like really useful. Because now what happens is, if you don't define it, even though you talk to it in a meeting and you explain it to a person, it's not clear what decisions that person can take on his own. And it's a question like which decisions are aligned with the organizations and which are not. So, if you just say it to someone and then don't write it, the person might forget, and even though he's trying to do good, he might drift off in a direction and do something which is not aligned with the org's goal. Or, something like that happens where the alignment is not very clear and the metrics are not very explicitly defined. They are just like implicitly talked about and in two people's head. And as the team grows, like transparency and all of that becomes really bad, really, really bad. So yeah, I think this also enables employees or like person who is doing the thing to be more, to be more of a decision maker and do the things he likes to just drive that metric. It's not like defined, hey, you have to do this to drive the metric. Just you have to drive it up Yeah.
Like true ownership of a part in the engine of building a successful company. So I love that we now can use it internally as a starting point. Obviously, it's just a starting point. There's much more we're going to build in the coming weeks and months, but I'm quite happy that now it's useful for us already internally. One more maybe philosophical or insight point from my experience in the past. You can, I think, largely predict the outcome of a startup or company by looking at what is done on a single day or week, right? If people are distracted working on the wrong things, the likelihood that you will fail goes up. Yeah, but if you're working every week on the right things, which get you closer to product market fit, or to growing consistently, or to fixing retention, then your chances of success go up significantly. So to me, always when I think about small teams, even if it's just 2 or 3 people, and I need to come up with a model how I can predict the success of a company, I could break it down to what they're doing. And this is now, I think, a good conceptualization or actual tactical thing they can look at what people should be doing in the ideal, increasing thus the chances of success by using Rio. So yeah, thank you so much, Akshat. I'm excited to push this more with you, and let's get more people on board. If you want to try it, you can always DM us or go to userio.com and schedule a demo. We are onboarding people personally, so would love to hear from you. Thank you. All right, I just saw a nice PowerPoint slide from Joe, who snuck by here and told me, Johan can present, he's ready. So Johan, can you present? Are you ready? Yes, Agent OS, sort of. Did you send me a link, or where do I find it?
Yeah, just the proper deployment.
Awesome. So maybe before we jump into it, let's quickly recap what Agent OS is. Do you want to take a shot at it, or let's go?
So with Agent OS, we are trying to take a new approach towards agent orchestration. So that's basically the whole process of taking a single prompt, writing basically a huge sort of like architecture around it, and dividing things into like very small tasks that are like way more doable by agents. And the whole idea behind it is that we're basically gonna work around the hallucination and sort of like slop generation by just giving it like small pieces that we like know it can like sort of do very well. That's sort of the whole idea behind it. But we also want to like build a whole like ecosystem around it, so you can just like prompt like workflows basically, and just automate like tons of different smaller processes in your organization that are going to drive a revenue as well. That's the whole idea, I guess.
And maybe in one punchy sentence, I would say the goal we're ultimately working towards is that you can go from one prompt to a full company that is working, of AI employees, if you will. And this is incredibly difficult, but this is ultimately what I think we're working towards, the end goal. And super excited that we are taking steps. So what did you do this week? You said this is a real URL, so fill me in.
Yeah, so like the last few weeks, everything basically happened on localhost. I didn't look at sort of making it production ready at all. So this week I did like all the authentication work, database stuff, sort of production readiness, like concurrency, that kind of thing. So I have to be honest, like there's not a lot to present right now because it's basically the same product as like 3-4 days ago. But the whole idea is I want to get into like a sort of environment where I can just like deploy what I'm working on right now and have Lewis and all the other people basically testing it out, right? So we've like split it up into like sort of 2 different workflows. For like basically everyone who's like not involved right now, we like started implementing sort of like a wait list. If you want to be like one of the first people, let's say like in January, February, who we're gonna get like sort of like an early like access, like early preview into Agent OS, and sort of can test it with me with your workflows, because I'm also like really interested in figuring out like what you're doing, like how you're gonna use like all these sort of prompt engineering tools, and how this might sort of help you out, hopefully. And again, like for sort of users like who are already like in there, again, we've got like some invites for people I already know who want to test it, and they can already do that. But again, it's like still a bit clunky. Like I'm not a big fan of releasing it in this stage, so we're gonna probably do that later.
Awesome. And in case you're wondering, like, what the hell, you guys spent 3 weeks building this landing page? No, we did not. If you go back to the other demo sessions we did in the past few weeks, you see much more detailed what is going on. And I think this whole idea of having a team, a swarm of AI coworkers really good in the specific domains that are needed, from an SEO team helping you rank on Google and ChatGPT and being discoverable through LLMs, all the way to building software products. Like, there's a lot of key things we already figured out. There's still a long way to go, but we're moving piece by piece, and now we just want to share with you that you can officially sign up for the waiting list. So you'll be one of the first ones to know. Cool. Anything else on your mind? No? Okay, awesome. Nice. Then, guys, do we want to share anything else, or would we call it a session for today? Any questions that came in?
Definitely say something about the vlog.
About the vlog that is coming up? Oh, great thing. So, Chris and I maybe can go into the full camera mode again. Okay. So this week, Chris finished, I think, okay, let me start differently. We wanted to, from the very start, document the things we do, because there's a lot of people who share a lot on what they're working on after they made it, after they found some sort of success. But at the start, we said media is a core part of what we do at Acta, and media is part of our DNA, what we want to do. It's a building block. And this is why very early on, Justus and Chris joined Acta to exactly build out this capability, but also the brand online. And last week, we took a time to document a day in my life, basically what I'm doing on an average day, together with all the other guys who are super talented, and document this for a full day. And I think this has been the best vlog we did together ever, so the best video we produced, because we also have a learning journey there, right? The first videos we did were okay-ish, still very good, and I want to insult your craft, but like from what I did in terms of camera performance, camera charisma, it wasn't quite there yet, and we're improving, I think, every single week. And now on Sunday, a new vlog is coming from Cape Town, starting with a cool special action in the morning, early mornings. And yeah, we just shared here. It's on my YouTube channel. Anything you want to share, Justus?
Leave a like, subscribe, turn on notifications when the vlog is coming out. It's good.
Yeah, it's actually very cool. So thanks for reminding me to give that shout out. Cool. Anything else? We cannot. Okay, guys, so for this video or this live stream, thank you for joining. If you stuck with us all the way now till the end, we really appreciate you joining, being interested in what we do. We're really here to every week get better, improve the things that we're working on, take it one step at a time, and inspire you maybe to also take your little first step in building your dream company one day. So see you again next week for another live stream. And so far, yeah, enjoy your weekend. See you soon. Bye.